Okay, so it doesn't look like it's going live to LinkedIn, so something else has gone wrong. So let me go ahead. This will be recorded if it's not making it live. I don't see it on LinkedIn. My name is Howard Klein. I'm a mediator and arbitrator. I've been an attorney for going on 47 years now. I've lost track, 46, 47 years. And today we're going to be talking about, this is going to be a preview about the ABA section of dispute resolution. That's the spring conference that's going to be going on I think it's from May 10th through 12th of this year. And I've got some really interesting and prestigious guests right now. So if this isn't showing live, we will have the recording. So let me move on now. First of all, if you have any questions, either in the recorded version on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., put a Q in the chat in front of your questions. Also, discounts will be available and disclosed during the presentation. And let me now quickly introduce the prestigious panelists, and they are. And now, let me add that, and here are the guests. This is, I'm in the upper left-hand corner, depending upon how you're looking at it. Anna Sambold, David Larson, and Elizabeth Hill are the panelists. Let me tell you a little bit about each of them. First of all, Anna is an attorney, mediator, and arbitrator. She has helped over 1,000 parties with the most challenging disputes in the areas of employment, banking, insurance, financing, consumer, trust, succession. Is there anything else? Anna, wait a second. Real estate torts and mass claims. I had to take a breath. She is currently the chair-elect of the Alternative Dispute section of the American Bar Association. Now, I'm making this introduction pretty quickly because I want to get to the subject matter, and their bios are going to be contained in LinkedIn and YouTube. Let me next introduce David Larson. He's a professor at law at the Mitchell Hamlin School of Law and a senior fellow at the Dispute Resolution Institute. He is also, excuse me, the immediate past chair of the Alternative Dispute Resolution section of the American Bar Association. And last but not least is Elizabeth Hill. Liz calls herself, excuse me, I wrote that wrong. Liz, as she calls herself, is the Associate Director for the University of Colorado Boulder Ombuds Office, joining the office in 2016. She has served as an Arizona Assistant Attorney General, Assistant Ombudsman for the state of Arizona, and has held numerous positions with the American Bar Association section of dispute resolutions. Also, I'll mention that at the last second, Liz Kyritsi was supposed to make it, and unfortunately, she was unable to make it. So, moving on directly to the subject matter, let me start with Anna, who is going to give a very brief description of the section of dispute resolution and what she likes and thinks is the most important thing about that. Anna, take it away.
Well, Howard, thank you again for inviting us to speak on your podcast. We are very excited about the spring conference. It's just 3 weeks away. I can't believe it. It's our first time we get together in person. We're getting back together in person after 3 years, so we are very excited about it. Um, and I want to say hello to everyone from Hawaii. That's what the background it is that way. And based in San Diego. And as you mentioned, I'm the chair, the incoming chair or the chair elect of this section. So I want to give you a little background about our section of dispute resolution. And because I'm very proud to say that our section is the largest association of dispute resolution professionals in the world. We have around 10,000 members all over in every continent. including mediators, arbitrators. We have ombuds person. We have ADR professors. We have core ADR professionals. Any dispute resolution professional. And even law students. And by the way, law students from any country in the world can join our ADR section for free. So that's if you have if you're a professor or you know any law students are interested in joining the American Bar Association dispute resolution section, please let them know that they can join for free. The goal of the main goal, the purpose of the section is to provide professional dispute resolution professionals with all the skills, with the training, and with the programs that they need to become ADR professionals or to improve and become better ADR professionals. For example, 15 years ago, I wanted to be a mediator and I wanted to get into commercial and business mediation and arbitration, but I didn't know how because the reality is that there's no defined path to become a mediator and arbitrator. So I'm really grateful to this section of dispute resolution because as soon as I joined, I was able to get all the resources, the training, and meet wonderful people in the ADR field that can help you to develop your practice and make it better. So I'm really grateful to the ADR section, and that's one of the reasons I really emphasize. If you are a litigator that you're tired of litigating, now you are a judge that and you're retiring and you want to become a mediator, an arbitrator, or you want to start teaching ADR as a professor in a law school, or you want to become an ombuds person, please join. This section is the place to be. We have different programs, trainings, and the spring conference. The annual is our annual conference, and it is a great way to meet everyone in the field. I have met so many of my really good friends and colleagues at the annual conference. I haven't missed any of the conference in the last 10 years, and I have friends from the Bahamas, from Denver, from New York, from London, and all of them. I met them because I attended the annual conference, our spring conference. So I really invite everyone to join us at the spring conference. And if you're interested in ADR, that's the place to be.
Well, great. Thank you very much. And by the way, apparently we're not live streaming to LinkedIn for some reason. As I said, technology always goes wrong. But I was able to verify that we are streaming live to YouTube, my YouTube channel, and I've posted that link. If you want to see this live, I've posted that link on in the LinkedIn comments section. So hopefully that will improve at that point in time. And if you make a comment in LinkedIn or you're seeing this on Facebook, if you write comments, we get to see the comments here, and I'll mention that. So why don't we move on? So really what this is about is why should someone go? And so I'm asking this question first of Liz, since I'm going to go clockwise from the 11 o'clock section. What excites you about this conference this year?
Yeah, well, thanks, Howard. Hello, everyone. I'm Liz Hill. What excites me most is, I think Anna said it very well, is the connections. Seeing people I haven't seen, meeting people I haven't met before, meeting people I've only known on Zoom for 3 years and seeing them in the flesh. I look back at some of the conferences I've attended in the past, and interestingly, even though Ombuds is kind of a smaller population in the membership, one of my dearest colleagues and friends, who's also an Ombuds, I met through the section at a conference in DC several years ago. So we had done projects together, but never really knew each other and hadn't crossed paths. And so the conference was really what cemented that relationship for us. So I really just encourage people to get involved, to attend. Also, that's really how I got into leadership. At the conference in that snowy Minneapolis conference, I met Harry Samaras, who's a former chair of the section, and she didn't know me at all. But I introduced myself, I expressed interest and enthusiasm, and she really took me under her wing and helped me navigate the different channels of the section and get more involved. So yeah, and we're still friends, years later. So those are the relationships that form. And I'll let David talk, I know David wants to talk about programming, but the programming is going to be fantastic. It's so broad. I mean, I've got a list here of all the different types of topics, but I mean, it's everything from indigenous peacemaking to technology to, the ins and outs of arbitration, mediation, asking questions, all sorts, DEI, all sorts of really relevant and timely topics. And I wish, if I can say one more thing before I turn it over to David and Howard, is for any of my Ombuds colleagues watching, I think what gets lost sometimes is the professional development hours that are available, right, for all ADR professionals, including Ombuds. I think a lot of my Ombuds colleagues don't see this as a place for them. And I want to just remind them that for their certified organizational Ombuds practitioners, 25 programs have been pre-approved to qualify. So basically, if you go to one of each block, a session in each block, you walk away from this conference with 14 hours of professional development hours towards your recertification. So that's really huge. That's really great.
Liz, before we go on to David, for those who are not familiar with the term ombuds, within 30 seconds, could you explain what an ombuds is?
Yeah, so 30 seconds is a tough one, and there's different kinds of ombuds, but I'm what's called an organizational ombuds. And so we serve as a third-party neutral, and we operate usually within an organization. We're usually embedded in an organization to help navigate sticky issues, provide communication coaching, provide mediation, address systemic issues, escalate concerns, and we operate as a confidential, independent, impartial, and informal resource.
Outstanding. I'm going to have you on one of my podcasts where we're going to go into a little bit more depth on ombuds. Yes. I just love the name ombuds. And if I become an ombuds, we can become ombuddies.
That's right. We do call ourselves ombuddies. Yes, right. We do.
So
it's
David,
a thing.
Yeah, David, let me move on to you. What are you most excited about? And also, if you could touch on, as you get to it, some of the programs that you feel are worthwhile, or at least from your perspective.
Yeah, one thing I'm really excited about is the breadth of the programming. As Liz was mentioning, there's something for everybody. I mean, there's stuff for arbitrators, mediators. There's things about negotiation. There's substantive topics of talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm personally interested in a lot of things about technology and online dispute resolution. There's a number of programs talking about technology. Everybody's talking about chat, GPT now, and AI chatbots. You want to be here at this conference in Las Vegas to hear a little bit about that, get some of these updates. So one thing I love about the conference is really the breadth of the subject matter. In the 2000s, I started a journal called the ADR, the Journal of ADR and Employment. That was published by CCH, and I was the founder and editor-in-chief, which sounds good, except for the fact that then I was responsible for getting 4 to 5 articles for every issue quarterly. So I had to come up with 20 articles every year. It's like, where am I going to get 20 articles and 20 authors? I got like 80 to 90% of my articles from this annual conference. I would look through the schedule to see which programs were about employment, and I would either run before the beginning of the program or immediately after and talk to the people presenting and say, would you like to publish an article? And it worked really effectively for me. And the conference was so rich that I could essentially build and sustain a journal by running around from session to session and tracking down authors who were leading experts in their field, good speakers, good writers, and it's just been a really rewarding experience for me. So on a professional level, it's been great. As Liz mentioned, on a personal level, it's really been fun to make the connections. One thing about this year's conference is we're finally getting back together after 3 years. It's been a long time, so it's an opportunity to reacquaint ourselves with people we've known in the past, but also to make new friends. So I have a lot of reasons to look forward to this, and I hope that you join us.
David, let me ask you a question. As an experienced ADR professional, when you're speaking, you're speaking at the conference this year, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. As a speaker, what do you get out of it?
One thing you get out of it is feedback. I've always appreciated the fact that we always try to reserve some time afterwards for discussion and questions. But even after the session ends, because you're there in Las Vegas with other people, you will run into them. And they will stop you and say, I went to your presentation, I have a question, I have a comment. So the conversation continues. It's a great opportunity, maybe the best opportunity, to get feedback immediately on your subject matter. So that's one of the things I really, really love about presenting at the conference.
And I believe the three of us, we're going to be speakers at the conference. And I'm super excited about it because I'm going to be speaking about a new phenomenon in arbitration and employment and consumer arbitration that is going on, that a lot of arbitrators are not aware. It is mass arbitration. And so I'm super excited about providing an update and inform all the arbitrators and ADR professionals about what's happening.
I love Anna's topic because that's a classic. Be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly.
Anna
So it's going
will
to be
explain
fascinating. And
how
I
the
can't wait
world
to
is
share
flipped
that.
around.
Yeah, Anna,
Exactly.
could you explain that a little bit? I wasn't sure if you said math or mass.
Mass arbitration is when individual claims are filed in masses against the same company, against the same respondent. And this is a super new development. In the last 2 or 3 years, big companies have been, um, yeah, I guess they have been receiving thousands of massive filings of arbitration demands and claims, and exactly with the same facts, exactly the same claim, the same causes of action, but individual claims. And I don't want to tell you the whole program, and I don't want to tell you the whole thing because I want you to attend my program. But it is fascinating. We're going to provide a background of how the whole process and how the whole phenomenon develop, and what is the right now what is happening and how is that affecting arbitration and arbitrators.
And I don't think I'm wrecking your program, but I just mentioned that employers have put final binding mandatory arbitration agreements in employment contracts where people basically waive their right to go to court and they're relegated to arbitration. And also they waive their right to bring collective actions and can't bring any class actions. So employers say, this is fantastic. Never have a class action against me. People can't go to court. But what people have done is they've turned around and they've begun filing individual arbitration cases by the thousands. And it's suddenly like, oh my God, I've now got to answer 1,000 different arbitration cases. And Ann is going to give you a lot of details at the conference, how that's being managed, how people are responding, and what the future looks like.
Wow, that
So it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, it's basically a class arbitration, and the employers. David, you had mentioned it. This sounds like the employers might be going, well, maybe we're better off handling it as a class arbitration rather than individually, because the costs would be pretty much outrageous, particularly if the employer is responsible for the fees.
Right. And they
Exactly.
often are.
It is pretty interesting how respondents and companies are acting on that, and well, you have to come to the program, and I will give you a really.
We're
I don't want to
supposed
ruin
to,
it.
Anna, we're supposed to tease here,
Yes.
so
Exactly.
that people go to the conference. Well, great. Does anybody have anything else to add at the moment? Because then I have some more questions.
Well, what about the social events? There's going to be
Well,
great
that's-
social events,
Well,
right?
then you handle.
The fun part. Yeah.
We've got Phil's Kitchen Tour. We've got the Atomic Museum. We've got the Aviators baseball game. And so you can register for those at the time you register. I think 2 of them might be sold out, but there's plenty of room at the Aviators game, and there'll be lots of opportunities to socialize and network and get together. And the host committee is putting together a list of places to eat, things to do. So you will have lots of options to choose from.
And Liz mentioned the Atomic Museum, and as a group, it's filled up, but you can go anytime. I went to a conference there a few years ago and went to the Atomic Museum. It is just amazing. It's a history of the atomic bomb experience in Las Vegas in 1952. They blew a 31 kiloton bomb, 3 times the size of what they dropped on Hiroshima, 10 miles away from the viewing audience, about 65 miles from Las Vegas. And in the early 50s, we thought the atomic bomb's biggest danger was the explosion and the shock wave. And after that, it was okay. Nothing really to worry about. We knew there was something about radiation, but it would dissipate right away. And you go through this museum, you see the photographs, and you see people going from church dressed in suit coats after their services. And they go to these bleachers, literally about 10 miles away from the actual blast, and they have picnic lunches with them. They're watching atomic blast 10 miles away. It's just unbelievable. And I remember seeing a photograph there, a large photograph of school kids in a playground, laying on the ground, covering their heads, because again, it was all about the blast. And behind the school is this massive mushroom cloud coming up, because nobody really understood the danger. It's a fascinating, kind of terrifying experience. It's an affiliate of the Smithsonian, really high quality museum. So that's just one of the many things I encourage people to do when they're in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'd like to, before
we're super excited about Las Vegas too. I believe that a lot of people they think about Las Vegas but Las Vegas only as a casinos, but I think it's more than just casinos. I remember the first time I went to Las Vegas, to me it was like a big Disneyland for adults. I remember driving through the strip and I was just like, wow, mind blowing just to watch all those big structures and big buildings, and every resort has something to offer. My favorites are like walking to the Bellagio, the water fountain, the show. It's just beautiful. I love the Lake of Dreams at the Wynn Hotel. Is another one that is a free show that you can watch on the Venetian Hotel. You can ride a gondola inside the Grand Canals and inside the Grand Shops. That is another amazing thing. It is just and shows and on the spas and restaurants, fine dining. It's everything in Las Vegas. It's like totally a Disneyland for adults, and I'm super excited about going.
and the north edge of the Grand Canyon isn't far away, Hoover Dam, which is really fascinating. And I wanted to add the Pinball Museum, which is lots of fun. And there are pinball machines there that are older than me that I can, some of which I can remember, like playing them when I was 5 or 6 years old. I wanted to add something because this is, we kind of touched on it a bit. I've recently been, the last couple of years, been going to a number of the ABA ADR section conferences, the Arbitration Institute. I've been to 2 of them now. It is, and I'm going to follow up with something that David said. I'm the type of person who goes to these and I go up to people and I meet them. And while David went up to people and he got all of his articles from one conference, I do it to meet people and have them on my live streams, etc. And if you're watching this and you're an ADR professional of any form, you have got to. It's just an incredible way to meet and network people, particularly if you're new to the field. And it's a wonderful opportunity. I highly recommend it. I am so excited that it's here in Las Vegas where I live, and I will have the opportunity to meet everybody and expand my network. So again, I highly recommend it. And if there's anybody out there who wants to start their own live stream or learn how to do it, certainly follow up with me, and I'll go ahead and help you out. You know, just that's
In fact,
kind of,
that's how we met, right, Howard? That's how we met. We met through the
yes,
Arbitration Institute in Chicago, and that's
yeah,
how we
in
connect.
Chicago.
That's how we ended up
And
here in
and I
podcast.
was recently at the one in New York, and I'm like, you go morning to evening, nonstop, and you wish it didn't stop. It's just, and I have like books full of notes and stuff. I can't write it down fast enough. It's really just a wonderful thing to go, and I'm really looking forward to this coming up in May. So we have some discount codes that are being offered. I hope you all can see this. There's for first-time attendees. The discount code is Welcome20, and these are for first-time attendees. If you're not a first-time attendee, but you're referred to someone, and I think all you have to do is say Peer 20 or write down Peer 20 when you apply to the conference or you register for the conference, you get a discount there. And I've saved it for almost to the end. Pod 2023 is another discount that's a 10% discount. These are all, they're not cumulative. So I recommend that you kind of go through them and find out which is the best for you, because I don't know which one will work for you, but if you have the opportunity, I would certainly recommend that. Okay, whoops, I hit the wrong slide. So now, before we end, let me ask each of you, starting with Anna, if there was one thing that someone should get from not so much this podcast, but the conference, what is it that you think that they should get from the conference? The most important thing, the one thing.
Well, for me, is the connection, and the thing about getting together in person again makes that even better, because you can get together with people online and participate in as many webinars as you can, but getting together with people in person and getting together to and networking with them, going out with them every night, and getting to know new people in the field, seeing old friends or former friends. It is always really nice, and I love that, because this community is people that uh, they're dispute resolution professionals. We are an amazing.
Uh-oh.
Almost made it
That says
all
it
the way through.
Actually,
Almost.
half a sentence away.
Yeah,
Amazing
half
is
a
what she's going to
sentence
say. They're
away. Anna, if
amazing.
you can, if it doesn't come on automatically, log back in and I'll bring you back in. Oh, we were so close.
Well, I'll
Elizabeth?
build upon that, Howard. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
build upon what Anna was saying. So then I would say, and when you make these connections and when you meet and talk to these people, ask them, what do they value most about being, involved in the section, right? What committees are they on? What projects are they working on? What are they doing that maybe you would find interesting? Because for me, the takeaway has always been just get involved, right? Find your passion, find what's interesting to you, get involved, and everything else just kind of follows.
Absolutely. David.
Yeah, I've been to many conferences in my lifetime, and at most of them, you meet people, but unfortunately, you don't really see them again. And the thing about this conference is it's a real opportunity to build continuing relationships because it is a community. And when you meet somebody here, there's a high likelihood that you're going to be able to continue to cross paths with them in the future. And it's really a remarkable opportunity to build a continuing relationship, both a personal and professional. And I think that's really great. And the other thing to mention is that if you're so inclined, and you come to Las Vegas, you can get a spouse in about 10 minutes. So if you want to get married in Las Vegas, it's very easy to do.
You've been waiting the whole podcast to say that. Very good, David. Well, on behalf of David, Elizabeth, and Anna, I'd like to thank you. I'm Howard Klein. I think in LinkedIn, now I'll be able to repost this as a live event on LinkedIn within the next day, just so that you all know. Elizabeth, how will people get a hold of you?
Oh gosh, well they can email me, elizabeth.hill, just like my name says, at colorado.edu.
Wonderful. And David, what about you?
David.Larson, Larson, at mitchellhamlin.edu. Hamlin spelled Hamline. So mitchellhamlin.edu.
Oh, great. So me, you can get a hold of me at howard at tkgadr.com. And I'd love to hear from you. If you need any help, I'm sure from everybody here, it's all about giving. And the more you give, particularly with the section, I think the better off you are. And I certainly intend to get more and more involved. So, Anna, I think we've lost you, but I'm sure we'll be touching base. And with that, that's a wrap. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks for having us,
Bye-bye.
Howard. Bye.
Thank you.